Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 142 of the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. Hopefully you saw our my solo episode this past Saturday. Last Thursday, we kind of were having some issues. Steven was sick. My dog was sick. Had to go to the vet and stuff like that. So we weren't in a place to be able to do a show, but we did put out one on Saturday. So hopefully you did join in that. And you've also kept up with Fantasy Warfare Tournament and also This Week in History, which all premiered earlier today and yesterday. And so we appreciate you being with us. I'm Shawn from London, and we're live right now on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can also hear us later on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else you get your podcasts from. So with that said, we're going to look at a lot of the stuff that's happened this past week, a couple of results from the different TV shows, some news, and then we have to finish up with some good news growing with the Ontario scene and even beyond that. So a couple of things going on there, and also a contest that will be fan interactive on our Facebook page coming up next month. But we can't get to any of that until we bring in Stephen O'Neill from Toronto. So, Stephen, how are you today?
Good. Busy, but good, because I have all of a sudden the slugging with Stephen O'Neill. I'm having quite a few wrestlers message me about the questions. So bear with me for 30 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. We already have our first comment from, I'm going to guess this was our friend from last time, but under a different name, Scotty Spammer, using a lovely Johnny Fairplay picture. And there's our response to Scotty Spammer. Okay, so while you're taking care of that, this past Saturday, Impact Wrestling had No Surrender. A couple of just the results that happened on that. DK beat Triple XL and Tennille Dashwood. Brian Myers and Hernandez ended up beating Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona. Jake Something, surprisingly to me, beat Diener. I thought with Diener having everybody with violence by design in his corner, would have definitely been able to take out Jake Something. I think they're leading to a tables match next week. Josh Alexander won a triple threat revolver match to be the number one contender for the X Division Championship. I didn't get to see this match, unfortunately. Just the rules for the match seemed unique, where I think it was about 7 or 8 different guys involved with the match, and it was a triple threat all the way through, sort of a gauntlet match.
It was 9. It was
9. Okay.
God damn it. People, why must you have we'll go over this later. I'm just frustrated with wrestling this week.
Understandable. So we'll vent maybe off air or on air, depending on what happens. So congratulations, Josh Alexander being number one contender. Fire and Flava ended up retaining their tag team titles over Havoc and Nevaeh. They got a breakup happening with Havoc and Nevaeh going on. TJP retained the X Division Championship over Rohit Raju. Jordan Grace, Jazz, and ODB beat Deanna Perrazzo, Kimberly, and Susan. The Good Brothers retained the tag team titles over Private Party and Chris Sabin, James Storm team in a three-way that way. And Rich Swann defeated Tommy Dreamer on his 50th birthday to retain the Impact Championship. So that was the results for Impact Wrestling's No Surrender. Then the following night was NXT Vengeance Day. 5 matches were on the card. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez ended up winning the Women's Dusty Cup by defeating Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon in a really good match. I don't think there was really a bad match on the whole card, but they are the first ever Women's Dusty Cup winners, and they earned not only the trophy but also a matchup against the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, currently being held by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, which we'll talk about the confrontation that happened last night. Johnny Gargano retained the North American Championship over Kushida. MSK defeated Grizzled Young Veterans to win the men's Dusty Cup finals. Io Shirai retained her women's championship, which I keep on wondering when she's going to drop it, because I think it's time for her to move up. But she keeps on retaining every time, and she beat Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez to retain. And the main event saw Finn Balor retain the NXT Championship in a hard-fought battle with a lot of moves, emotion, drama, a lot of fundamentals in there. And he beat Pete Dunne to retain. And then Pete Dunne and everybody attacked Finn. And that's when Undisputed Era came out to make the save. They posed, and next thing you know, Adam Cole is kicking Finn Balor and then taking out Kyle O'Reilly, leaving Roderick Strong wondering what the hell's going on. And that's how they ended up leaving things last Sunday at NXT Vengeance Day. So what was your thoughts on Vengeance Day? I'm pretty sure you picked up that one.
Yeah, top to bottom, there was not a bad match, like you said. You actually missed something in the pregame. I don't know if we're going to talk about that in news.
No, yeah, I missed on that one, but I think it does come up on news, but you can mention that part.
So Eli Drake showed up as LA Knight in the pregame. Still, it seems like very much the same Eli Drake, but now his name's right now LA Knight, which is really dumb. So I'm really hoping that they change it. But I'm excited to see where this could go, because I think I expect after WrestleMania there to be quite a bit of movement up and down from NXT going up. So I'm hoping with some of these new talents coming in, or it also looks like we should have a class announced. If they haven't announced it today, I didn't look. We should be having a new performance class anytime. So that will be very interesting to see how many. Well, you'll know the men and women who can, from what it sounds like, Taya Valkyrie, she doesn't need time not on NXT. So I could see, answering your question, when Io Shirai is going to lose the title, I expect the takeover of WrestleMania weekend, because that's a nice send-off for her to the main roster. I mean, if LA Knight, Taya Valkyrie, Blake Christensen, who was on the No Surrender pay-per-view this weekend, has signed with, which I has signed. From what it sounds like, there's like 24 people. We hopefully one of the Buffalo brothers is in that class, from what I assume, if they've
trademarked a name.
If you trademark a name, you're not going to use it, from at least what we would. So I have no idea. I'm just assuming that we should have some interesting names coming up in NXT, and I think it needs it to freshen some things up and move some people who are way overdue up to the main roster, to freshen the main roster up.
Yeah, there's a lot of juggling that needs to happen, because they are kind of getting a little stale, and it's amazing how even if the matches aren't the greatest and some of the storylines aren't the greatest, AEW, I'll give credit for that, constantly mixes up their cards a lot, so you're not getting the redundant matches over and over again. There are some here and there, but when you have the roster that they have, it's not been as noticeable, should I say, compared to WWE. Just looking at some of the other results, we'll run down Raw, NXT, and AEW from last night, and then we'll dive into the news because some of it does reflect the news. Miz ended up opening Raw and dropped out of the Elimination Chamber match. He has the briefcase, so people were wondering that logic why he's even in there. And so he tried to get John Morrison this week. John Morrison into the match, and Kofi Kingston questioned that. So there was a matchup. Kingston ends up getting in, so he's taking Miz's spot. Riddle and Lucha House Party ended up beating the Hurt Business. MVP ended up getting injured, so he has to go to Dr. Andrews and get possibly some surgery on his knee. Bad Bunny.
He said, he did do a post on, I don't remember which Instagram, whatever. He actually wasn't in Alabama. He actually just got an MRI, and there's been no updates. So it seems like one of the dirt sheets put out that he had in Alabama. He wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, that was the latest I had heard, that he was in Alabama. So if he's corrected that, then that's good, I guess, in a way. But he was on crutches noticeably on Raw Talk. So hopefully it's not a bad long time off. But he can still obviously do hosting and managing anyways. Bad Bunny won the 24/7 title. He's going to be on Saturday Night Live on Saturday. So who's to say that they don't cross-promote that way, because it is NBC. Asuka and Charlotte somehow won by disqualification against Lacey and Peyton Royce, and Lacey refused to get in the match, announced that she's pregnant. Ric Flair's wooing around the place like he actually is the father, even though he was claiming that they didn't have that sort of relationship. So I don't know where they're going and all that, but Lacey is definitely going to be out, and that's why this weekend is so in question. I'll run down the Elimination Chamber card very shortly. Kofi, as I said, beat Miz to get in. Shayna beat Lana in a match. And, of course, there was the gauntlet match to determine the last person entering the Elimination Chamber for the Raw match. And AJ Styles beat Kofi. Then Drew beat AJ Styles. Drew beat Jeff Hardy. Orton got counted out after being distracted by Alexa Bliss, who did a Satanistic promo trying to bring back the Fiend. Hopefully that's coming up soon. Would love to see a parent's reaction coming into a room as their child watched Alexa Bliss in the middle of a pentagram, but it is what it is. And, of course, Sheamus got the victory over Drew to secure himself the last spot in the chamber coming out. Then last night on NXT, Kyle O'Reilly came out, wanted answers from Adam Cole. Strong was trying to be in the middle. Finn Balor came out and wanted answers as well. They all three got attacked by Dunn, Birch, and Only Lorcan, which set up the main event. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon defeated Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell because of the distraction with what's his name, Theory coming back after he was kidnapped, and he's acting like he's been brainwashed and was on vacation and eating Fruit Loops, and I don't know where that's going. But Leon Ruff defeated Isaiah Swerve Scott, who looks to be turning heel. Casey Canizero and Caden Carter beat Aaliyah and Jesse, and then Zaya Lee confronted Casey and marked her hand and said there's going to be a purge next week. There was a Dusty Cup celebration with both teams, but it was interrupted by Nia and Shayna, who said March 3rd they're going to defend their titles against the winners, Dakota Kai and Gonzalez. Let's see. Kushida ended up beating Tyler Rust due to Malcolm Bivens forfeiting the match when he got him in the hoverboard. And Zoe Starks defeated Valentina Ferraz. And Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan got the win. Adam Cole came out, did a Ghostbuster to O'Reilly on the steps, and he sold it, I guess, to the fact that people thought he had a seizure last night, but he said no, he was just selling. And Finn Balor ended up getting pinned and then super kicked by Cole again, and Cole held the title next to him as the show ended. So that was NXT. Over on Dynamite, Matt Hardy and Adam Page beat Hybrid 2, and Adam Page revealed that the contract he signed was for a big money match between him and Matt at the pay-per-view, and they're going to get their first quarter payments. Rio beat Serena Deeb to advance in the women's elimination tournament. Training video for Shaq and Jade. It was a horrible experience there. Orange Cassidy squashed Luther in under 4 minutes. Taz blamed Sting for the snow going to to Texas, and called out Sting, and they beat him up and gave him an actual powerbomb, and he had to get checked out. So hopefully things are okay with Sting actually taking a bump, but he took that from Brian Cage, and yeah. Omega, Callis, and Nosawa went and read the children's book of the Young Bucks to kindergarten kids. No big whoop there. They made fun of Tozawa and beat him up. Young Bucks beat Santana and Ortiz. The Inner Circle beat up the Young Bucks afterwards. Meanwhile, the Good Brothers and Omega were watching on and not coming to the rescue. And then finally, the Good Brothers did get out there when Jericho and MJF had the Bucks in their submission holds, and Jericho went after Papa Buck. No big whoop. Dory Funk Jr. was also in attendance as a special guest. They announced that there's going to be a ladder match, much like Money in the Bank, happening at the pay-per-view, but the winner's getting a TNT shot. FTR beat Matt and Mike Seidel. They went to cut Mike's hair, and it came Luchasaurus in a new mask, Marco Stunt, and Jungle Boy. And the main event saw Moxley and Lance Archer beat Eddie Kingston. Phoenix was also on their team, sorry. Beat Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and Blade. And decent tag team match there with Paragon Shift being hit on Kingston for the victory. And then the Good Brothers and Moxley attacked Moxley, and Omega chose a stipulation for their match, which is going to be an exploding barbed wire death match happening at the pay-per-view.
You can ask me my opinion on that?
Go for it.
So it's all garbage wrestling now, clearly. An exploding barbed wire match? What the sweet motherfucking Christ?
So apparently all the ropes come down, and the ropes get replaced by barbed wire, and the ring posts become explosive. And yeah, welcome to Deathmatch from Japan coming to North America. Meanwhile, Jon Moxley's pregnant wife, Renee Paquette, is going explosive barbed wire deathmatch.
Yeah, so here's the thing. No, this sounds dumb. I don't have a big problem with the ladder, the revolutional things. The ladder match thing sounds kind of interesting. It could be interesting. The stupid ass big money match, you're like, what the Christ is this? And then you got an exploding barbed wire jerk off on each other's faces. That's how you win. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I get kind of what they want,
Yeah, other matches that are going to happen at Revolution include the Young Bucks against Jericho and MJF for the titles. Taz's team with Cage and Starks are going to do their cinematic match with Darby Allin and Sting. And of course, there's the finals of the women's eliminator, or the winner of the eliminator going against Shida for the title.
But here's my problem with all this. You're taking guys who, like, if you really wanted to have a grudge feud match, why couldn't you do like a steel cage match to keep people out? Why are you going to this crazy ass extreme for no particular reason? I know you have no. I have the numbers for last night's two shows.
Perfect.
Dynamite drew 747. NXT drew 713. Dynamite was up 0.8%, and NXT was up 28%.
Yeah, because last week a lot of things were down due to the impeachment. So
yeah, but like I can't wait for Saturday for the experience to come out, for Jim Cornette to scream and yell, because this is going to be great about this. If they had a reason to get it to where you need to have a steel cage because people keep interfering, but to skip multiple steps and go to an exploding barbed wire death match. Have you ever seen Cactus Jack and Terry Funk in their exploding barbed wire? The explosion looks fake. Unless one of these people are dead and are never coming back, this is dumb.
Yep. But that's what we have to look forward to. So
no, I won't watch it. Not a chance.
Understandable. So let's move away from that stupidity and let's dive into some news. Some sad news. Tom Cole took his life this past week. He was a WWF ring boy when he was 14, 15 years old, and he was assaulted or claimed to be assaulted by Terry Garvin, Mel Phillips, and Pat Patterson, along with a few others making the same claims. There was a lawsuit in 92 that launched against the WWE for it, and it even ended up on an appearance on the Phil Donahue show, which you can find on YouTube. And that's one of the only times I can recall or think of seeing Vince McMahon and Dave Meltzer side by side on the same stage, was on that Donahue show. And they ended up getting rid of the three guys, settled out of court. Pat Patterson came back. The other ones didn't. And that's how that basically ended. But, of course, unfortunately, I guess Tom Cole still suffered from PTSD, depression, and everything. It was just a result of that. And unfortunately, at the age of 50, he took his life. Tom's brother, Lee, lashed out on Twitter against Vince and Linda, saying that they knowingly hired pedophiles and molesters, and that they should be ashamed of themselves, and he's going to find legal way of doing it and hope that they can sleep well knowing what's gone on with his brother. But I don't know. Your thoughts on the whole thing?
We weren't there. We weren't there. The legal process has played out. It sucks that someone's taken their own life, especially in the recent weeks for me. But I mean, what are we going to do? You can't. We weren't there. We can't be the judge and jury and executioner for these people for things that happened
in the 90s.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and I guess one of the triggers was also for Tom was with Pat's passing, how much praise he's been getting from the wrestling world about everything besides that, and nobody acknowledged that type thing. But it's like the Benoit thing. How do you?
What are you gonna say? Put a footnote in everything? Like, I get it, but you also that's very complicated.
Yeah.
All right. What else? What other news do you
have? Yeah. Kevin Owens says once again he's determined to jump off the pirate ship at Raymond James Stadium. He vowed to do that last year, but with him not being at the stadium and being at the Performance Center, he ended up jumping off the logo instead and hurt his foot. But do you think he's going to make it to WrestleMania to jump off the pirate ship this year?
I know he wants his WrestleMania moment. Unless it makes sense,
don't do it.
Don't just do it because you want to. That's my concern. If it's not going to make sense, don't do it.
Yeah, how do you get yourself into a match that gets away from the ring through the seating all the way to that pirate ship that is there?
And here's the other thing with COVID, I don't expect there to be any matches in WrestleMania that will spill into the crowd.
Yep.
So unless you're blocking off the pirate ship area I don't know how it gets there.
Yeah.
But
maybe they incorporate the entrance with the pirate ship somehow, and that keeps people away.
But again, just don't do it because, like, if it makes sense, cool. But if you just want to do it because you just want to do it, please don't.
Yeah. So Lacey Evans has said in the Raw results, said that she's pregnant and want to congratulate her husband, Alfonso, and her for the forthcoming of their child. But I guess she's not going to be totally off TV. They're going to play it up for a while. But what that does with Sunday's match against Asuka, they now have to figure that out.
Ooh, I have a few ideas.
Fire away.
Well, obviously Lacey Evans can't wrestle. So why not bring in some people potential? You could go Rhea Ripley as a hired gun. I was also thinking, well, if you could use Taya Valkyrie as a hired gun, if she signed, what about Tessa Blanchard? That's a way to introduce Tessa Blanchard as a hired gun. Mm-hmm. If WWE wants to sign her. Who was the other one? I'm drawing a blank on the other name. The redhead that used to.
Eva Marie.
Yeah, supposedly they've had her signed since September, I think. Unless you're holding her off for a particular reason. I mean, if you're paying her,
might as well use her. Yeah, so hopefully they make an announcement soon about what's going on. Chris Jericho's wife was seen and had even taken pictures at the insurrection protest that happened at the U.S. Capitol in Washington on January 8th. So interesting that she was there. Jericho always claims that he's not political, but maybe his wife is, but they also donated money to Trump. So I'm not overly surprised when when they donated money to Trump that she's actually there. Though it doesn't sound like she ended up making her way into the Capitol. So that's, I guess, an upside.
I mean, nothing surprises me from COVID Jericho. So
this past Tuesday, Young Rock debuted on NBC and City TV here in Canada at 8 p.m. It was set in 4 different time eras. The Rock as a child, a teenager, and in college, and also in 2032 when he's actually running for president. And these stories are being told as part of an interview for the presidential candidate, it appears. So for me, I felt it unfolded like WWE story time, except for with real life people instead of cartoons. And so you got 3 different stories in that half hour, 7 to 8 minutes in total for each story. I kind of like the way the actors were portraying the people that they were supposed to. They did pretty accurate with Sheik and the Wild Samoans. Andre, you're going to have a little bit of difficulty with, but I think they did okay with the guy that they got for Andre. I look forward to seeing where things go from there, but I'm not sure if I'm liking the idea of 3 different stories throughout the half hour. Maybe do a whole half hour with at one age eventually. But
Are you going to ask me my opinion on it?
I was thinking so, but you didn't watch it, and you warned me.
Yeah, I was
about
gonna say I was washing my hair. It was the day I had. It was the night I had to wash my hair. So
Yeah.
It honestly looks dumb. I watched the trailer and it looked dumb to me, and it just it's bad enough I have to watch 2 hours of dumb wrestling on Wednesdays. I don't want to have to suffer through a different. So yeah,
understandable.
I wanted to give it a few weeks to see if it's even going to make it through, a few weeks of being on TV before they pull it.
Yeah, understandable. My only question though is, with the fact that they're setting it in 2032 and he's running for president, is this almost like a wink and a nod to everybody that he's planning on running at that time? Because he's talked about going for presidency, and a lot of people would say that they would vote for him even this past year if he had been in it.
Fuck. Another celebrity going for president.
Ronald Reagan had an 8-year run in the White House. So NXT Evolve show is in the works, with NXT going to USA last year. It kind of became the third brand, as everybody knows it to be. And so it kind of took away from the developmental aspects that it was originally intended to be. And so now that they have the Evolve brand, that will serve as a outlet for the newer talent to get experience and make their way up through the system. And I guess Gabe Sapolsky, who actually owned Evolve, and who is Jeremy Borash, are said to be in charge of that element, and they've recorded a very different style of production. There's no launch date yet, but your thoughts on NXT Evolve?
I mean, I'm potentially excited because I believe it's going to, from what I understood, it's NXT for NXT. So if it's literally for up-and-comers, I mean, it's just random people that I hope are signed. Like, you wouldn't need, LA Knight wouldn't need to be on that, or Tyler Valkyrie. But you could have, for a short term, a Daniel Garcia, a Tyler Rust, Leon Ruff. Is it Isaiah Swerve Scott? Guys who I still think need probably a little bit extra time. Don't get me wrong, I love Daniel Garcia, but probably before he gets to the main NXT, a little bit of extra time on TV, getting that TV timing, the true WWE, how they do things. I don't think it's bad.
It would almost be probably equivalent to what AEW Dark is to AEW. Because a lot of people who are being at least looked at, and possibly jobbing most of the time, but they're being kept on Dark, and then if they impress, then they've been brought into AEW Dynamite. So it could be the same sort of feel and aspect for that. Not sure.
I think it's going to be a little bit. I think instead of it just being random indie guys, it's going to be just guys in the performance, guys and gals in the performance. Like, I think who trying to think. I think guys like Kushida who are getting lost, or Dexter Loomis who are getting lost in the NXT shuffle would be perfect. They'd almost be like the veteran to help, where they could bounce between the two brands for short periods of time, say a 3-month period, or if a guy in NXT wants to try a new character or girl, it'd be perfect for them to go to NXT Evolve, where it's going to just be on the network, and they can get some to see it, where they can play with the character and get that.
Can also be a
The
place
feel.
for when people are injured, make their way back to and come through there.
I mean, I would see more NXT people, if they're injured, will go there. I would love to see WWE use NXT more for when guys are injured. Their main stars. Put them in NXT for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it takes for them to get their ring feet back under them, and then move them back up. And for NXT, it'd be perfect for NXT Evolve. Guys who need 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever weeks of rehab, of getting their ring feet back under them. You could have guys like, I'm going to use Tyson Dukes. You sign him, you put him in NXT Evolve as a trainer / producer / wrestler. Look what he's done with the Wrestle Factory.
Exactly.
They don't all need to be up and comer like green as grass. But if you say I'm just going to use guys that we know as Ontario indie guys, a Tyson Dukes and a Jim Strider. Strider's the future. You get him started in NXT Evolve with Tyson Dukes. Dukes puts him over. That sends Jim Strider to NXT on the upswing. Then you drop Dukes into the next guy. And you just find a female, the same. You get two veteran guys, 2 veteran women to work with the young guys, make them good, send them on. I love Gabe Sapolsky. I love Jeremy Borash, but you need guys in the ring, guys and girls who can do both. Like, I think if, sorry, I'm going to rant. WWE had Evolve, you wouldn't see Ty Conti being in AEW right now, because she would have been probably put in NXT Evolve.
Yeah, probably.
Who else WWE released that they probably, I think if they had out of that, anyone out of that NXT could go into there. Look at a Bo Dallas. What is he doing? He's sitting at home. There's a guy that you could drop in. So, I mean, I'm excited because this is supposed to be the NXT for NXT. So,
yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. So,
if it's young people, like up and comers who've just signed to the Performance Center, I'm excited. It might be some tough matches to watch if they're like super, super new. So, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So I'm excited.
So carrying on, Braun Strowman is dealing with blood infection issues. He's gained weight, dropped weight, water weight. So that's why we haven't seen him too often. Hoping he gets better soon. Could even play a factor in Sunday, depending on what's going on. And also there's talk that he might be programming with Shane McMahon down the road, God forbid. Game Changer Wrestling is presenting Bloodsport 5 this Saturday, featuring Jon Moxley versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. in a battle of the undefeated guys in Bloodsport. New Japan went to Impact with Finn Juice, making their debut on Impact this past week. That is Juice Robinson and David Finlay. And Deonna Purrazzo can be added to the list of stars dealing and being stalked by fans. This guy, who I'm still not going to name any names and give them anything name-wise, but he is from Germany and has also went after Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, Leva Bates, and Veda Scott. Once again, like I ranted last week, guys, get your head out of your pants. Stop thinking you have a shot with these women and let them be people that you just watch on TV. Anyways,
Well, not just that. If you want to send a wrestler a gift,
be a
you
fan.
never send it to their fucking home.
No.
Not a fucking chance. You send it to their P.O. box, to the performance center. There's lots of things. You don't just send weird ass shit to people's homes.
Some of them have even tracked down their parents' houses.
Yeah, that's even crazier. So I gave a local, an Ontario Indies guy, his girlfriend was pregnant. I made a little fucking onesie with their gimmick name, but I let the person know ahead of time. I asked them, and I said, I don't want to sound like it's like something crazy, but would you think it's odd if I? And they were like, no, that's cool. But if they would have said no, it's odd, I would have been like, cool. Like, you can't be sending fucking shit to people's homes or looking up their parents' address and sending it there. Oh my god, you guys are gonna get us fucking wrestling people. Oh,
and the thing is, in your case, you actually approached them and they see you physically, not somebody spying and like the dude who thinks he's married to Alexa Bliss and threatening her fiance and all this other bullshit that's going on. Like, guys, like I said, get your head out of your pants and just treat them like human beings and like be a fan. I get that, but when you're going over the line like that, that's just ridiculous. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, the 6 guys who are going to be in the Elimination Chamber are going to be in a 6-man tag with Corbin, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn teaming to go against Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Daniel Bryan. Aleister Black and Andrade have been missing on WWE TV since October. Dave Meltzer is reporting that Vince is not impressed with them, and since Heyman is out of power, they really don't have anybody in their corner being a cheerleader for them. So who knows if and when Andrade or Aleister Black will be back on TV. I mentioned about MVP. Braun Strowman says he's not impressed by Parker Devereaux, and this could also just be a lot of public bantering to get him into a program with Parker when it comes time, because a lot of people think that's going to be a dream match with their sizes. Have you seen Parker Devereaux?
Yeah, he looks impressive, but let's not rush him to the main roster. This is what NXT Evolve would be for. You start him there, you then move him to everyone's comparing him to Brock Lesnar.
Even Brock Lesnar in OVW.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar started in OVW. This Parker is going to start in NXT. I hope he starts on this NXT Evolve show. Slowly brings it up to NXT. And then, so if we're talking a year or a year and a half, 2 years, I'm okay with that. If like Rick Steiner's son is part of this class too, it sounds like, and Lord, he looks like his dad, but I don't they're still years away. People need to, the social media stuff needs to relax just a touch.
Yeah, let them get built up, and that's an easy place where they can build those initial rivalries, like we saw in OVW with the 4 guys who were there: Orton, Batista, Cena, and Brock, where they had all their experience that way, and then when they brought it to main roster, they kept on doing what they knew how to work with people.
Exactly. So, but people need to pump the brakes a little bit on this Parker guy going right to the main roster. I think Dominic Mysterio should be back in NXT.
Yeah.
But I get why he's not, because that's why Ray signed, and there's a little politic in there, but that's cool. It's not cool, but I get it. But like, let's pump the brakes on some of these wrestlers. I could see an LA Knight being up on the main roster pretty quickly. Taya Valkyrie would end up on the main roster pretty quick. But any of these guys who aren't real, who have put a lot of time into the wrestling, let's pump the brakes a little, guys. Let's watch some AEW. You see what green wrestlers look like.
Yeah. Teddy Hart is back in jail. Shocking. He was caught with evading arrest, injured a person who is either disabled or elderly. That's part of the charge. So no details on that one. And he was caught in possession of illegal drugs. Are we surprised by this with Teddy Hart?
No.
It's unknown how long he'll be in jail for this time.
Bye, Teddy. You had a wrestling career. Bye.
Yeah, that was on. He was with MLW, I thought. Sammy Guevara. Speaking of people that are,
oh Lord, Sammy.
He left the Inner Circle last week. They sent him to Impact, and somehow along the way from going to Florida to Nashville, he found out the creative, balked at it apparently, to the point where Don Callis is like, "You're not welcome here." Quickly called Jericho and Tony Khan to go, "What's up with this guy?" By the time he arrived and actually tried to propose another direction with his character, he gets a call from Jericho saying, "Come back home to Florida. You're not welcome there anymore," because apparently he's banned. There's talk that there might have been a sore spot between the relationship between AEW and Impact, but that probably is not the case. It's just Impact and Sammy Guevara who have the actual issues. But what do you think of this stupidity?
So I don't know how much you follow Impact. Black Taurus from AAA is now in the spot with Decay, where they were going to put Sammy Guevara. They were going to put Sammy Guevara as part of Decay.
Yeah, nope. That would just be a total character change for him.
Yeah. So from what I understand, Guevara just wanted to know Tony Khan and Don Callis. The first idea was shot down by Tony Khan. The second he liked. Jericho called Guevara on the way and said, "This is the plan." Guevara sent a text to Impact saying, "Could we modify it a little bit? Because this doesn't seem part of what I would do." Impact then put on their baby diapers and called Chris Jericho and was like, "He wants to change our plans." And then Jericho was like, "Okay, Sammy, just come back." As Sammy was showing up to the building, Don Callis told him he wasn't welcome. And now, who knows what's going to happen with... I would assume it's just... And I don't have a problem. If it comes out that they were legit going to put him in Decay,
then I can understand that.
What? I don't understand why. I get why they wanted Sammy Guevara over in NXT or in Impact, but he's not going to be. They're not going to put a championship on him.
No.
So unless I could have seen him go in a Violence by Design, doesn't really fit his character, but something like that. I
They
don't.
could have put him in with the X division, but
That would
not.
make too much sense.
Yeah. So, hey, at least he may have saved himself from getting sent to Impact ever again. So I guess there's the upside to that. Damian Priest is well liked backstage, though, and he's impressing people even in the office, though some people are a little bit jealous that he's teaming with Bad Bunny and getting the spot at WrestleMania that they probably would have liked, not necessarily with Bad Bunny, but just a spot on WrestleMania and a featured match. So at least he's doing at least something different than what every other call-up has done from NXT to the main roster, and he actually has something going for him.
I actually hate him with Bad Bunny.
Understandable.
Let's get real. He's a potential star in WWE. And I get it, what they're trying to do to give him like a lot of extra press with Bad Bunny and this whole WrestleMania match. But I actually think it might be doing a disservice because it's coming off a little jokey. I would much rather have seen, I don't know. I just feel like there's something else they could have done.
Well, and then you got Rikishi now training little Bow Wow.
Yeah, this is the problem right now. Everyone thinks that they should be a wrestler, and they're not.
Yeah,
So
it's the only thing that's actually still operational, really, in the entertainment world that is not as restrictive as maybe doing a movie and stuff like that. But no concerts are happening, so that's why all this is happening, which is not the best, mind you. 2021 Hall of Fame looks to be taking place at the Thunderdome during WrestleMania week. WWE corporate jet was seen flying to Abu Dhabi this past week. They have been haven't been there in a year, and could they be trying to figure out a way to get there and do a show or more? Because if they're going to make that trip, they might as well do a whole whackload of tapings and then have to quarantine to come back. So they had a lot of money on the table with that deal. So who knows what's going on with that? Lashley said to be a fan or enjoying working with Riddle due to their MMA background. Riddle, I guess, nearly broke some of Lashley's ribs with a kick, but they're able to go a lot stiffer with each other compared to others in the business. It looks like Carlito is done with WWE after just his match on Raw and being part of the Royal Rumble. There was talk that he was a shoo-in to have a contract after a 3-week sort of probation, but that I guess they didn't come to terms of what he's looking for, so he's moving along. Bayley said that she wants to work with Io Shirai, and if she does and goes after the NXT title, that'd be the first time in 5 years for her doing that. The forbidden door that they keep on talking about with AEW opening up to everybody. Tony Khan was on a podcast saying that the door is open for Vince McMahon and is begging him to come down to Jacksonville. I think this is sort of their end game in a way to do that. Because I've always questioned with all these forbidden doors opening with Impact and AAA and New Japan, what does AEW benefit from it? They really don't get much exposure. But if they were to ever convince WWE to come to the door and walk in together, then that's where AEW actually benefits. And
I don't think that will ever happen.
None of it benefits WWE.
No, I see, and I'm thinking AEW's end game right now with the Impact and some of that is, I almost wonder if Tony Khan's going to buy Impact and merge them. which I think would be interesting. I'm assuming that there's going to be, there's got to be a couple. Like, he's not going to buy AAA. He's not going to buy New Japan, but if he can get Impact, and there really only being two companies other than ROH to work for here in North America, it'll be very interesting to see how things work a lot more. But I mean, I'm interested on where this could go, but I don't trust them.
Yeah, and finally, WWE is asking for more third-party mentions and all that to be ceased, now extending to Twitter and Instagram, and especially not having anything mentioned, like even charities, I guess. So I don't know. So the whole image and licensing thing, I guess, still rearing its head. That's happened since October. But yeah, that's about all the news for this week. Just going to look at this weekend's Elimination Chamber. Really not much to talk about on it, because the match for the United States Championship, Bobby Lashley against Riddle and Keith Lee, I guess, is up in the air, with Keith Lee not even being around this past weekend on Monday night. So it could end up being just a singles match. If it does happen, what's your thoughts on it?
I would assume the way they're setting this up for it to be there to be a new champion, but I don't know. I would think that Riddle's going to win it, but I mean, WWE changes their mind every 2 seconds on how they want things to work. So, I mean, I'm guessing Matt Riddle to win, but I also don't know if this match is even going to happen.
Yeah.
With the injury, and so I don't know if they postpone it or what they do, because I don't know.
Yeah. See, in my case, if this match was to happen, I was going to say Keith Lee picks up the title by beating Riddle, and that way that allows Bobby Lashley to get a rematch at, say, Fastlane, as they build him up maybe towards going after Drew McIntyre and the world title, because he's been quite dominant. But yeah, that's up in the air. As mentioned earlier, Asuka against Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. That's now a no-go with Lacey being pregnant. So where that goes, hopefully they say a new contender. And I'm going to go over to here again. But the matches that we do definitely know about on SmackDown, the 6 are going to be Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, and Sami Zayn, with the winner getting a title match against Roman Reigns that same night. Who do you think comes out on top?
Either Daniel Bryan or Cesaro.
Yeah, I would agree. Possibly. I'm going to say it'll be Daniel Bryan, because of the fact that they've built him up for having a match, and I think they can hold off a little bit longer on Cesaro getting the matchup. That way he's built up bigger. But either way, I don't think it matters who comes out, because Roman Reigns is going to be still champion going into WrestleMania, presumably against Edge. And what about the Raw side with the WWE Championship actually on the line? Drew McIntyre defending against Kofi Kingston instead of Miz, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Sheamus coming in last.
Oh, I've got Drew McIntyre. See, this is where I'm torn. If I'm WWE, I have Drew McIntyre losing this match to either, I'd assume Sheamus, or he wins it, The Miz comes out, cashes it in, leading to the WrestleMania rematch. But I don't trust them, so I'm going Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I can see that whole thing. At the same time, you got Fastlane still in the way. It would have made sense to do that. So, yeah, I got to go with Drew McIntyre as well. Just keep the two champions strong going into WrestleMania. But at the same time, if Drew does lose it, he could get his WrestleMania moment by winning the title back. So,
well, that's where I'm thinking that they could go, but I would have thought they would have done it with Brock Lesnar, have Brock Lesnar win the title, and have him have his WrestleMania moment again, but it's not going to happen. I'm assuming that it's going to be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. So that is this Sunday on pay-per-view. Now, that would be where we would normally probably end our show. But I got a couple things that I've been working on this week, and I'm going to present this now. Got a commercial for starters. We can talk about the ending of the commercial and then lead into the other interactive part. Steven has not seen this or knows this.
No.
If you want a variety of wrestling news and history, look no further than the Scumbags Wrestling family of shows. On Wednesday nights at 6 p.m., join Shawn, Steven, and Jonesy as we look for the best of the best and break it all down in a unique tournament format on Fantasy Warfare Tournament. Then, Thursdays at noon, take a look back at the rich history of our great sport with This Week in History. Relive title changes, births, deaths, and some of the best events of all time. Finally, join us for the latest in wrestling news, show results, and predictions Thursday nights at 8 p.m. for the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. The Scumbags Wrestling can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, along with our audio versions on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. We're a proud part of the Ontario Indie Wrestling Podcast Network and the Johners Podcast Network.
You weren't going to tell me about that?
Yeah, I was going to, but I didn't have time. So Steven's reaction, I saw down below as that played. He definitely knows that we're part of the Ontario Indie Wrestling Podcast Network, which includes guys like George Mackay, Justin Gimlett, and also Ryan Knight, and a whole slew of others. I'm just going to put that picture up there for a second. You see a lot of the shows that are here. Easy E's part of it. There's What You Talking Boot, MLW Rewind. There's all the shows that we have.
Good morning. Good morning. It's the Good Brother Morning, which is actually hilarious. Those guys kill me.
So those are the shows that we definitely are part of with the Ontario Indie Wrestling Podcast Network. But a couple of the guys, Justin and Brian and George, got a part of the Johners podcasting network, and that's over in the United Kingdom. So I looked into it. I reached out to John Scott, who is the runner of Johners Podcasting Network, and just wondered, hey, what's up? How do you get involved? And he asked for a sample of our shows. He thought it was awesome. It was definitely something unique and different than what some of the other ones are doing, especially with This Week in History and, of course, the Fantasy Warfare tournaments. Not many people are doing anything on that style. So it is a unique opportunity for us to go over and send our stuff over to the UK. We're spreading our wings along with the rest of the guys from the Ontario side of things. And so Ontario's taking over the UK, or at least putting a footprint over there. Hopefully we can share their stuff with our network over here and just make the world a bigger place and lots to go on. So if you are listening as part of the Johners Podcast Network, thank you. Welcome to the Scumbags of Wrestling podcast. The Scumbags of Wrestling, we're available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Join our group. There's many things that you can get involved with, and we're very interactive. And yeah, if you want to be a part of the podcast, let us know. And we're starting off why did I almost say November? We're starting off March with our third annual March Madness. This is the part that Steven does know about because we were talking about it today. This is the third annual Ontario Indie Wrestling March Madness tournament. The last 2 years I've run this. It's an everyday vote on our Facebook page, and it's 31 days of voting, and it's been 32 people involved. And the last 2 years, both have been won by Tyson Dukes, London's own, and the owner of the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory. So is somebody going to step up and defeat Tyson this year? We'll have to wait and find out. But we put it out there this week of getting ideas of who should be in this month's tournament. And we're getting a lot of response from people adding names that it's going to be up to 64 with a double vote each day that Steven and I are going to be organizing. And that'll start March 1st. And I believe it ends with the results happening on April 1st, if everything times out the way it should, especially the way it would normally with a 32-man tournament. So
on the show.
And it will, we are going to do a separate, I think, Fantasy Warfare tournament.
No. We're going to announce the winner of this on the show because April 1st is a Thursday.
Oh, true. Yes. I just looked at the calendar. So that will be announced on the show. We'll hopefully even try and reach out to the potential winners, at least the final four, and see if they're available to be part of it. And we're looking at doing a Fantasy Warfare tournament version, and we'll reach out to some of our podcasting friends to get a wide arraignment of information and points of view, not just our own. And so we'll have two different versions of this going on, and we'll see who comes out on top. Every Thursday, Steven and I will do a recap of what the week's votings were and where people stand in the tournament. So watch the Facebook page, get involved, vote every day, and see if somebody can dethrone Tyson Dukes or if Tyson's going to reign supreme for a third year over Ontario. Thoughts on that, Steven?
I think it's going to be an exciting March with this Johners Podcasting Network. That just blew my mind. I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to expose the UK to some of the talent that they've never seen before that they should have heard about. And like you said, I hope that we can get some of our UK brethren on our shows so they can talk about what's going on in England and the UK. And I think this is what I think we had Holden Albright on 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks
just
ago,
before Christmas.
Yeah, and about collaborating. And this is what I'm sure he means. This is going to expose talent when we have interviews and stuff with them and talking to them about our who we are, what our point of views are, the fantasy warfare, we have a lot going on. So I'm very excited with getting like this the Ontario Indie. I don't know how many. I know Von Vertigo has been over in England. Brent Banks,
the Pillars,
Tyson Dukes. But this is going to get guys who may not have got the chance yet to get their names out there and get searched. And so I really do hope a lot of the Ontario Indie guys and gals both that are part of the 64, when we reach out, I really do hope a lot of you will, even a minute interview to get your names out there to go to across the UK. I mean, I know me and Shawn will be reaching out to a lot of you, so I'm really hoping that we can get. I know we were talking off air, and this might be too early, but me and Shawn were talking about us two and getting Ryan Knight or someone to join us to do a preview of the tournament. So I know we'll be reaching out, hopefully, and getting some interviews. And so I'm excited. I think as much as 2020 and early 2021 has been a shit show, I'm excited now. This is
going to be a fun month, I think. And I think if we get up to our 64 ahead of time, we can do a early draw and also reach out to the contenders and try and piece together a separate show. It will be put up on February 28th, previewing what's going to happen starting March 1st with this. So help us finish off our 64 so that we can put together the best show possible for the 28th. So get on our
if
Facebook.
we haven't, I know I can speak for Shawn. If we haven't got all 64 by the Friday, so that would be the 25th, me and Shawn will just round out the whatever's needed, because
and then we'll end up doing a pre-record for the draw, so we know who's going to go against each other, and hope that the talent will cut promos on each other to set that up, and we'll splice it together for a special show on the 28th regardless.
Yeah, let's hope we can get, if we can fill up the tournament hopefully by Sunday the 21st, that would be amazing. Give us some time to work on things. Sooner we can get the 64, the better for me it is. Honestly, it is for me and Shawn, because that gives us a little more time to prepare some stuff.
Yeah, and make it the really awesome March, because this is what we are left to do, because we love wrestling and we're in quarantine or somewhat, depending on what your zone is, but there's no live shows, so we're gonna make the best we can, highlight some people, get some names out there. Still, wrestling still exists even in COVID, and we just have to find various ways of making it happen. And Chad Peterson, thank you very much for the love. We'll be making sure we put out the best possible shows. And like I said, for those over in the UK, sit back, go back and check out some of our Fantasy Warfare tournaments. If you're a fan of history, you will love what we have to offer you. So before we get out of here, Steven, anything last that you want to say?
Well, there's two things I want to go over with you before we bail.
Yeah.
One is this week's Fantasy Warfare. So this week we're talking about Black History Month. So this week is all about the 16, what me and Shawn and Jonesy have determined, the 16 best African-American wrestlers, their career from start to finish. So here's the matchups that we're looking at. Rufus R. Jones versus Ernie Ladd. Kofi Kingston versus Butch Reed. Brickhouse Brown versus Kamala. Too Cold Scorpio versus Coco Beware. Rocky Johnson versus Junkyard Dog. Booker T versus Jay Lethal. Sweet Daddy Siki versus Ron Simmons. Thunderbolt Patterson versus The Rock. So you're going to see guys who, like Coco Beware, a lot of people only remember him in the WWE. He actually has quite a career before getting to the WWE. So I'm excited to talk about that. And then my other project I've been working on is Sluggin' with Stephen O'Neill featuring, and this week was Holden Albright. No, yes, it was Holden. I get all confused with how we tape things. It's on cwnonline.ca. cwnonline.ca. It drops every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So far, I've had Anthony Kingdom James, Von Vertigo, Sebastian Suave,
Jim Strider.
Jim Strider, Holden Albright. Am I missing anyone?
Nope.
Okay, yes, it's been 5 weeks. Things are blurred. So I'm excited to hopefully some of our listeners in the UK will go back at the 5 weeks and read them. I do it differently. Everyone's doing podcasts. Well, not everyone has time to do podcasts. So I went a different route. I did 10 questions. I send it to the talent. They fill it out. I post it one a week. So I'm excited. That's what started this episode. I had quite a few of our Ontario indie guys reach out to me, or I've reached out to them about doing it a while ago. And now with everything going on, so that's why my life's been a little hectic today. So, and I have messages. So I'm excited. I'm quite excited about this week coming up on Tuesday. It's a wrestler I didn't know much about before. He follows us in the Scumbags group, and I did a little research, and I'm quite excited who it's going to be. And I'll tell you off air because I don't want to spoil it, but I'm quite excited because he shares a name with us, so I'm very excited.
Oh, okay. Well, we will definitely talk about that. We have a lot of things to discuss off air with the planning for the Ontario Indie Tournament March Madness show. And yeah, thank you for everybody that joins us, whether you're live with us on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, and of course, listening later on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, and where you get your podcasts from. Like, subscribe, share. Let's build this community bigger, not just here in Canada, but over in the UK. And you can email us always at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. We'll even start sending out shirts across the pond if you want some, because we have some.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have to start.
We have some great merchandise that you're wanting to check out. And that's another thing I'm building towards, along with a refreshing of our website. So I got a busy weekend ahead of me, and we'll have more information, I think, next week. So until next time, have a great one, guys.
Peace.